Welcome to the Right Click Save podcast. I'm your host, Jimmy T. With us today, we have Roy, also known as Zeneca. A bit of background on Zeneca. Zeneca has a background as a professional poker player for about 15 years. He joined the NFT space in early 2021 and has gone on to launch his own project, Zen Academy, as well as the popular NFT podcast, Two Bored Apes. He's also a regular feature on the Overpriced JPEGs podcast, as well as being a really well-known and appreciated influencer in the space. How are you doing today, Roy?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
You're more than welcome, man. It's good to see you as your ape.
Yeah, I've never done a podcast or a show where I'm my ape, but it's fun. I'm excited to, I guess, see the footage after this recording.
Yeah. We're always happy to have an ape on. I think the last one we had on was Benjamin. I think the set and the style and everything's come on a little bit since then. So hopefully, it'll be nice. A super clean animation as your ape. Now, I think obviously you're on a lot of podcasts. I think many people have heard your kind of story entry into NFT many times. But just for our listeners, in case they haven't heard, can you walk us through a little bit of your kind of genesis story into the NFT space?
Yeah, for sure. So as you mentioned, I was a professional poker player before crypto and NFTs and all this. I did that for about 15 years. So like high school, basically straight into that. And then in 2016, 2017, I dabbled a bit in crypto because, it was kind of blowing up and everyone was talking about it, especially in the poker sphere, like across the table, everyone was talking about, crypto and Ethereum. And I was getting pretty excited about it because, I would read a bit about Ethereum, do some research, and I was like, this sounds really cool. Smart contracts, decentralized apps, all of it. It sounds cool. I love it. I'm bullish on Ethereum. I bought a bunch. And then I bought other random stuff, as you did back then.
Oh, yeah.
Market went crazy and then came crashing down. I didn't really sell much when it went crazy, just little bits in here and there. And then the bear market hit and I kind of just left. I didn't really sell my bags. I just left. I was like, well, all right, that experiment was over. I didn't have the conviction to stay because I think I couldn't conceptualize. Yeah, exactly. I couldn't conceptualize it, and it was very theoretical. I was like, all right, smart contracts and dApps, I don't really get it. I don't understand smart contracts. So then I went back to poker. And then come early 2021, I had some friends talking about NFTs and crypto, and obviously prices were going up, and I started getting interested again.
Yeah.
And I sort of started doing some research and learning a bit more about it. And just as I did, it just continued, I fell down the rabbit hole basically, we all do. But it just continued to get more and more amazing. I was like, oh, there's some real stuff built now. There's DeFi. There's this whole DeFi thing. There are these NFTs now, which again, originally I thought was a scam. I couldn't understand. It's hard to wrap your head around. But once you do, it's oh, digital ownership. There's a marketplace. You can buy, you have an Ethereum wallet, like MetaMask, where you can it's like a currency. It was so cool. And that was the beginning and the end. It was just down the rabbit hole for the last year, just over a year now.
Yeah. And what a year you've had, man. It's been a crazy ride, I guess.
Yeah, it's surreal. Honestly, it's just absolutely surreal.
Did you have from your background in poker and everyone talking about crypto, did you ever have any invitations to crypto poker games? Or was it not quite there?
So there was a crypto poker site, I think it was called Seals with Clubs.
Yeah.
Okay. Way back in the day, and they played in Bitcoin. I don't believe I ever played on there. No. And then, towards last year and a half of online poker, I was playing on a site called Nitrogen Sports, which plays in Bitcoin.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
does that mean you have to wait 45 minutes every time you put a bet?
No, no. You deposit an amount, and it's that's you're already on there. So then each bet is not.
Thank God, that'd be the longest game of poker ever.
It's just been ridiculous, yeah.
Nice, awesome. So the main thing that I think people know you for is obviously the Zen Academy, which is definitely the first thing I came across with you. What were the origins of that? What was the kind of motive for you to kind of put that together?
Yeah, so I think I first had the idea for Zen Academy June or July last year. Up until then, in the space, I'd been doing a lot of trading and flipping JPEGs, and it was going well, and I was having fun and making money, but it was emotionally taxing. It was I was getting burnt out. You have to be you'd fall asleep, wake up, and you'd be like, oh, I missed a mint, and then you'd feel bad. Yeah. And it's just, and then you'd flip something and it would moon and you'd wish you didn't, all that kind of stuff. And around the same, like maybe a month or so earlier, I'd started creating content. So I had a newsletter that was going out that started picking up traction, and people started, resonating with the words I was writing and like appreciating that. And that just felt good. It felt good to put something out there that people were valuing. And then I'd also roughly around that time started my podcast, Two Bored Apes, with my friend Jamie, and we're starting to. And so I was just like, I'd been through this a bit with poker, where like poker is not a fulfilling or like rewarding career. It doesn't. You're not adding value to the world. The world does not need professional poker players. It's even worse than lawyers.
Yeah.
The world needs lawyers. Everyone hates lawyers. Lawyers are like taxes and succubuses, succubuses, whatever it is.
Yeah, no, that'd be fine. Yeah.
So same with the poker players. It's like, all right, great. What are you doing? You're winning money from, at best, wealthy businessmen who are just there to gamble. At worst, people who have gambling addictions, and it just doesn't feel good. And getting into flipping JPEGs, it was a lot of the similar type things. It's like, obviously it's not as bad, but it's like very competitive in nature, and you're trying to make as much money as you can, and you're competing against others who are trying to flip and trade. So it didn't feel like I was adding to anything really. But then with my content, it felt like, all right, I'm putting stuff out there. People are finding it useful and helpful, and it just makes me feel good. So I want to do more of that basically. And so then I thought about what's like the next logical step. I had my newsletter, I had a podcast. I was like tweeting out these daily stats on Twitter that people started really liking and sharing a lot. And I was like, well, there's not really a good education go-to place for NFTs yet. Like we all have, if you've been in the space for a while, you have a friend or 10 or a family member that comes in and they're like, hey, I see NFTs on TV, celebrities, I know you're into them. How do I get started? I want to launch an NFT project. I want to buy NFTs. I want to trade NFTs. I want to make money. And what do you say to them? It's like, well, all right, I'll help you set up a MetaMask. I'll walk you through what a seed phrase is. Maybe I'll give you some YouTube videos to watch, some articles to read, follow some people on Twitter, join these Discords. And then it's like, well, what's Discord? All right, I'll tell them what Discord is, download it for you. And it's you basically have to answer 100 questions, hold their hand through the process, and it was never scalable.
It's nerve-wracking, right, as well?
Yeah.
Because also you're like in charge, but you're almost becoming like their bank. I always find it really not a big fan of doing it.
It's really, you're right. It's nerve-wracking. And then there's all the scams that you got to warn them of.
Yeah.
And it's just not scalable, basically. So I was like, well, maybe I could create this place where it's just someone new comes to space and they're like, I want to learn my NFTs. How do I learn? Go to Zen Academy. And it's a website. It's got courses, guides, articles, everything you possibly want. That was the idea. And then I got really excited by it and like spent a few weeks thinking about it. And it like blew up in my head. I was like, well, hang on. If I want to build this is going to take a ton of work, a ton of time to do right. Yeah. Other content creators and a lot of infrastructure, a lot of money and all that kind of stuff. I was like, so then I just put a pin in it. I was like, you know what? I don't want to take that on. I want to, I'd been making good money at flipping. I was like, well, maybe I can just do this for a little while and then move on to something else and not necessarily launch this big thing. So that was June, July. That took us through till about October. And then around then, I had a trip planned to the US to go to NFT NYC, ApeFest, and Marfa for the Art Blocks event. But then COVID travel restrictions just like canceled that. I was like, can't go. All right. I've now got 5 weeks that I had been planned to basically be away and traveling. And so I was like, well, maybe I'll revisit Zen Academy. And that's when I started getting more excited. But instead of like, hey, I'm going to launch this massive platform from day one, I was like, let me just start slow and launch it as basically just a Discord community. And I'd already actually opened Discord a couple months ago. And then I was like, well, we'll just build from the ground up and we'll just slowly add content. I'll find content creators. I'll do courses in due time. And yeah, that was like the genesis of Zen Academy. That's where we started. We launched in November. Yeah, and it's just been a slow build.
Another kind of silver lining of COVID then. Would Zen Academy have come if COVID didn't happen?
It's a really good question. I wonder where I'd be without that. Like I might have gone there, I might have honestly, who knows?
It's kind of the same for me. Like when COVID came, it just gave me a huge amount of time that I was able to get my head down and really focused on my animation content. And it was all that work that I did in the first kind of year, sort of 18 months of COVID, really took my kind of animations up the next level.
Yeah.
And then when it came to finding Web3 and jumping in and started animating people's NFTs and people were going crazy about it, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I love it. Almost like what you said, when people were reading your newsletters, you suddenly were like, actually, that felt really good. And you found like an audience. And yeah, that was one of the big catalysts in dragging me right down the rabbit hole too.
I almost feel like the whole NFT space is like has boomed or been accelerated in part because of COVID. Because like
massively,
so much of the NFT space is like is community. People love the buzzword community, but people love hanging out in Discords. And we've all been cooped up at home for 2 years without social interaction. All of a sudden, you just hang out chatting to people. Yeah,
it's funny. I mean, I live alone in my flat, and I now work from home since I quit my job to go full time Web3. People say to me, "It's like, aren't you lonely? Like you're not seeing anyone all day." It's like, to be honest, I'm chatting to people all day. It might be on Discord, it might be a Zoom call, it might be a podcast recording that I'm doing, or just chatting to people that I've met in Web3 on WhatsApp, and I feel like I'm constantly communicating all day.
Yeah,
and like even it might not be.
You need a break sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah. That's it. I have to go sort of take myself away. So yeah, it's weird that this kind of evolution of social interaction and communication is kind of like really is the forefront in Web3, and it's funny that because that is what that kind of metaverse is pushing. The next development of Web3 that everyone's going for, this metaverse thing, is actually we've been living it through COVID in this kind of initial stage.
We've already been in the metaverse. Yeah,
absolutely. So how quickly did the kind of take off in terms of the Discord? You said you started as a Discord community. Did you put a lot of effort into promoting and growing that, or did it kind of just snowball on its own?
It pretty much just grew on its own. So I think we launched it in, I want to say like August.
Yeah.
And I didn't really promote it. I just invited some people that I knew from other communities, and just to like get it going, just to understand. Like I'd never had my own Discord before, so I was setting up myself, so like creating channels and roles and all that kind of stuff. And then I think one day I just tweeted out that, hey, I have a Discord. And at this point, like my Twitter had blown up a bunch, and I was, I don't know, 50, 70,000 followers.
Oh, wow.
And that was a crazy day. It's just like 1,000, like maybe 2,000 people joined in nice. Like 5 minutes. And then it just slowly grew after that. And I think by the time, so it was fully public and open, but then when we launched, there's like a month before we launched Zen Academy, we like closed it down, and then we made it token gated. Yeah. And I think it was about 10 to 15,000 when we closed it off.
Obviously, you're well known for not having a roadmap on there. What was the kind of, and I know it's quite well known and publicized, but your sort of decision making around that?
Yeah, I mean, I just hate roadmaps in general. But and like I didn't have one myself. It was like, well, the reason I hate roadmaps is because if you have one, you feel obligated to fulfill it, rightly so. People have bought the project, but the space moves so fast. It's like I want the flexibility to pivot and adjust and change directions. And it was essentially just like, well, even if I have a roadmap, I'm going to be the one executing it. You're trusting me to do something with this membership, with this academy, with whatever. I ask you to trust me a little step further, and just whatever I end up deciding to do, that will be the roadmap. And yeah, I mean, now, like honestly, for the first 2.5 months, we didn't even, like internally, we didn't even have any plans or roadmap. It was like just the Discord. I was like, all right, this is great. Yeah. We're just focused on hanging out with the community. I'll do my content. Cool. And then the last couple of months, we've been figuring out what's next. Like, what are we going to build? Yeah. How are we going to do it? Where do we want to go? And that's been really fun, actually.
I love that. I think it kind of forces you into that organic growth, which is just so much healthier for the community. And you're right, you can be a lot more liquid with it and sort of responsive and not kind of chained to your roadmap. I kind of feel like a roadmap creates this perpetual board meeting with your community in terms of like you've set these objectives out and you're just non-stop having to kind of objection handle. Just read the pinned message. We are going to get there. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I like to see it, and I like to see that a lot of projects are coming out and taking sort of that approach as well, and kind of highlighting some areas that they're looking to kind of explore, development areas, but not kind of overly committing to them, because it does end up being a massive rod for your own back. Now, the big news with Zen Academy at the moment, and I know a number of members in our community are really excited about it and involved in it, is your courses that you've just launched, the NAS courses. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I've launched a course that went live yesterday with NAS Academy. So NAS Academy it's like a masterclass style website where they take creators, educators, experts, whatever, in many fields, and help them launch like a structured course with videos and like exercises and like a whole syllabus. So yeah, I got put in touch with them, I think in December last year, so not long after we launched, and they were looking to move into Web3, and they'd released a couple of courses and there was positive feedback, and the students were like, hey, this is great, we'd love more. And so yeah, we started talking and they asked if I was interested, and I wasn't really sure to begin with whether I was or not, but after chatting with them more, it was like, all right, yeah, let's give it a go. It sounds like they can help with a lot of the infrastructure. And we decided on the topic of how to launch an NFT project because they already had like intro to NFTs, intro to crypto, the very beginner stuff. And we put a poll out, a survey in, I think it was around Christmas actually, around just a bunch of questions. What are you looking for? What kind of stuff are you interested in? If I were to create a course, what would you want? And one of the questions was, have you ever thought about launching your own project? And almost 80% of the people said yes, which blew my mind. I was expecting like 20%, maybe 15, 20%.
That's crazy.
And I don't know, we had 500 people respond and 80% were like, yes, I've thought about it. So that from there, it was like, okay, maybe I could speak to that because I had just launched mine. I've been advising and consulting founders launching projects for a while. So I had a bit of experience. And then, yeah, so they have a studio in Dubai. So they flew me out there. And we filmed for a week. They had like a full-on set, multiple cameras, director, producers, like a full-on high-quality production. We had a script. I went off script for like 80% of it. It was just like, I would just like get bullet points and then just go off my own tangents, but I think it worked out fine.
That's the way to go.
Yeah. And then I think that was about almost 2 months ago, and they spent about 6 weeks editing it. So again, they did all the editing.
Oh, that's cool.
They sent it to me twice so we could have a look at it and make changes and suggestions. So we definitely have a lot of control over it. But again, all the work is done by them.
Yeah.
And then, it went live yesterday. People have been signing up. It's free for Zen Academy holders and members. Otherwise, it's a paid course because at the end of the day, I love education being free, but it costs money to create a course.
It enables you to do something with much higher quality and put more time into it, doesn't it? And I think also you don't want to undervalue it.
Yeah,
it's a big thing.
So we had the launch party yesterday, which I had no idea what to expect. It was like this, like they just said we're gonna have a Zoom call with as many of the students who want to turn up. Yeah. We're calling it a launch party. They get to meet you, have this Q&A, and I was like, cool, it'll be like this chill thing. And then we get in and like there's music pumping, and there's like this guy's the host, the two co-hosts, are high energy, and there's like party games, and they gave out prizes like an iPad. Yeah, it was crazy. It was actually a lot of fun.
Awesome.
And then students were excited. So that's the first course. I'm sure I'll do more, probably with NAS Academy, maybe with someone else. But just part of the, I guess, utility of Zen Academy now.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I know a lot of people are excited about it. We've got our community manager for our community, a guy called V Squared, majorly excited about it, really excited to get involved, and also lost his shit when we told him that you were coming onto the podcast. So it's awesome. Now, one thing when we were out in East Denver, me and Calcio, we met Bianca and Mike from the Nemus project, which I know you guys have a bit of a partnership with, and we really hit it off. So we literally spent the whole week of East Denver just hanging out with Mike and Bianca, really cool people. How did your partnership come about with them?
We got partnered with Nemus through Charlie, who is just a wonderful human, just one of my favorite people in the world. He actually, I recorded my very first YouTube video was with him as a guest, and my video editor Tom was editing it, and he was like, "Charlie is like half scientist, half wizard," and I was like, "Yes, he is."
I've seen the interview actually. Yeah, he is.
I actually can't remember how I got put in touch with Charlie in the first place or how we connected. But ever since like we had a chat, I think anyway, we set up a Zoom call and we were just chatting, and then I think it was like a 20-30 minute meeting, and we just chatted for an hour. And it was actually then I had the idea for the YouTube show. I was like, this is great. I would just love to do these long form conversations. And then, and then we just, a lot of mutual respect and affection, and Zen Academy and Nemus partnered up, and we love them.
I was very happy to see that you guys had a partnership. It's one of my favorite projects. Just the synergy with the whole ways, the benefits of NFTs, and I have to say, one of the cleanest projects I've seen for the way that they've executed, like their website.
Oh, it's been flawless.
Just the whole way they've set up their NFT project is so good. I'm very much excitedly waiting for their big kind of snowball moment where everyone just has to dive in and get one. And the partnerships that they're getting with you, with Rarible, with some other things I've heard that I'm not allowed to mention.
It's inevitable at this point.
Absolutely. Yeah, very exciting. So that's kind of leads us on nicely to podcasts, actually. So obviously you've been doing the two Bored Ape podcast. You recently just did an airdrop of a token to your listeners. Talk me through the kind of process you're thinking about that and why you did that and what your kind of plans are for the future with that.
Yeah, so we dropped something that we call the Loyal Listener Pass, which is it's like a card that's like it's like animated, it's rotating, it's got like our two apes and a bit of a logo with like our theme music playing. It's really cool, well made. Vitor, our podcast manager, got that all created, which is fantastic. And the thinking behind it was so within Zen Academy, the Discord server, we have a channel, Two Bored Apes, and that's where basically everyone just comes and chats about the podcast. Before the server was token gated, it was great. But then we sort of realized, hang on, well, there's probably a lot of people listening to the podcast who would love to have a place to come and chat about it, but who aren't Zen Academy members and maybe don't want to or can't buy the actual membership, which is 0.2 ETH or whatever, which is not insignificant. So then, again, Vitor, our podcast manager, he had the idea. He said, well, what if we just airdrop them something? And then like on Polygon, they can use it to verify with Cloudland to get access to that. And so we're like, that's cool. That's awesome. So let's do that. We put out the call on a couple of podcasts. We said, fill out your this form with the ETH address. We tweeted it out. And we still have some more to go out, actually. But that was like the idea. And then, going forward, it's an NFT. It's blockchain. We can do cool things if you want. If we want to give special merch to holders, we can do that, et cetera, et cetera. We have no immediate plans for it, but again, it's an NFT, so there's always ways to add utility in the future. Yeah.
Absolutely, and obviously that's the benefit of these of layer twos like Polygon and things like that you're able to airdrop these things out, which is great. Even though Azuki did it on ETH mainnet, didn't they, with their drop?
Azuki, if you're Azuki, you can you can pay the gas bill, but also they're just geniuses with smart contracts. I think their minting contract was so cheap, probably cost them like $3 per NFT to airdrop, which for 20,000 to airdrop, that's still not insignificant. But again, right? Yeah. For Azuki, it kind of is.
Yeah, nice. Now, I'm a big fan of Overpriced JPEGs, the podcast as well. It's actually, weirdly, it's what I listen to when I go for a run. And that kind of is a bit of a weird thing to say because obviously most people like to listen to like sort of some banging tunes as they go for a run. But I like to
Carly's pretty high energy, so
she is. Yeah, I can't run. I can't start my run without a double GM, a GM.
Nice.
At the beginning.
Yeah. Awesome.
How did that start? How did you meet Carly? How did that kind of relationship start to get you as a regular?
That's a good question as well. I think she just reached out at some point and asked if I wanted to be on.
Yeah.
I think it was her first or second or third, one of the first few episodes, just as a guest.
Nice.
And I said yes, and I had a lot of fun. And then I found myself listening to the podcast. I really enjoy it too. It's great. And she had great guests on. I was like, this is fantastic. And then I just reached out to her at some point and I was like, what do you think about doing a recurring segment every week, every month, whatever? And then she was into it and we said, all right, every 2 weeks. And that's how that happened. And nice. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's great. There's a lot of NFT content out there. There's a lot of NFT podcasts. I mean, we've got one, you've got one, Carly's got one. There's probably about 4,000 more out there. But it really stands out as one that's just, for me, really well structured. The guests are really good. It's not just a complete shill fest. It kind of it ticks the boxes for me, so I like it.
Yeah. It's high production value. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, well, it's under the old Bankless umbrella, which I'm also a big fan of the Bankless guys as well. Are you out to permissionless next month?
I don't even know what that is. So no.
That's permissionless is the sort of bankless sponsored sort of crypto in real life event. A bit like ETH Denver, but it's in Florida next month. I'm guessing you're not going because you don't
Probably not. No, there's so many events, and
yeah.
I'm actually going on like vacation for 2.5 weeks.
Oh, nice.
From next week till early May, and then NFT NYC in June. So it's just like I'm not planning anything else.
Yeah, I think I'm back from permissionless, and I've got 3 weeks, and then I'm off to NFT NYC as well. So I know what it's like. How do you find switching off? You're going on vacation. Have you had many since diving down the rabbit hole?
Not really. Well, so I had 2 last year.
Yeah.
But that was kind of different because it was pre Zen Academy. So it was like I was flipping a lot, but I was getting burnt out. So I was like, you know what, I'm looking forward to taking some time off. And was kind of happy with that. And then Dubai. So when I flew out to Dubai to shoot the course, my fiance and we arrived like 3 days before I was scheduled to shoot to have like a mini holiday. And that was cool and that was fun, but I was still working a smidge. But this is like a almost 3-week thing. And I've got like Zen Academy in full force, 333 Club in full force, all this stuff happening. And I'm like low key stressing out about, getting everything in place so that it can run without me. And it can, but it's like, I don't know. It just,
I know exactly you're feeling. I'm away. I've got 5 more days until I'm going away for a week for my friend's wedding in Santorini, and trying to top load the work and the podcast recordings and the animations and trying to do it 18 hours a day for the last sort of 3 weeks. It's just it's insane. But only in Web3, right? There's just you get there's something that gets a fire going in you if you.
Oh right, yeah. I'm also fully expecting to work every single day that I'm away.
Yeah.
But it's just like instead of 16 hours a day, maybe I'll do like 1 to 3 hours here and there when I can. But it's just like I just can't not check the Discord.
Exactly.
And email. It's inevitable, but it's fine.
I know that's going to be the case for me as well.
Yeah.
So talking about the moving on to like the NFT market in general, what are your kind of thoughts on the NFT market in 2022? Do you have any predictions of where you think we're going to go?
It's a big question. I think
it is,
so far I was very surprised with January. Like it was like December ended and then January first hit and it was like bull market's on and just right out the gate it was like reinvigorated. I think as a whole the market is obviously growing and maturing, and we're starting to see. So last year it was very much the case that it was the NFT market. If the NFT market was bullish, kind of everything was going up. If it was bearish, everything was going down. Now we're definitely seeing it segregate and segment off into sectors where like blue chips can be doing really well, but everything else is not. Or PFP projects are doing well, but metaverse land is not. Like last week, again, PFPs were doing great, but like Sandbox and NFT Worlds not doing so well. Mm-hmm. So I think that we're going to continue to see that sort of, unlinking or whatever of the market into these segments and sectors. I think so. Something I've said this like 10 times now, and we'll see if it actually comes true, but I still think that it will, is that we're going to see protocols come online that allow average market users to collateralize their NFTs and take liquidity out. So currently, if you have a Bored Ape, for example, 110 ETH, you either sell it or you don't, for the most part. You could fractionalize it or whatever. But what if you could take out a loan of 50 ETH against your Bored Ape at an interest of like 4%? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's very appealing to a lot of people. Some will take that and then go, hey, I can just go and get 10 to 20% in DeFi. That's just easy money. And that's probably the smart thing to do. There are definitely going to be people who will say, well, I'm going to take that. I'm going to buy more JPEGs.
I'm going to FOMO in to some more projects,
And to begin with, it's like you can already do it with CryptoPunks. They're going to expand to Bored Apes and other blue chips. Eventually, it'll trickle down where they'll have protocols and automatic market makers in place to set a valuation on almost any NFT or most NFTs. And maybe you can only borrow 30% of the floor price, but that's still like people will do it if it's not gas intensive and if the interest rates aren't too high. So I think that's going to unlock a lot of liquidity, cause the market to go up and then crash.
Yeah.
We've never seen people really be able to leverage in the NFT market. And as soon as you introduce leveraging, things go crazy. And I think that, we'll see a massive blow off top and then a huge crash. And If that does happen, if I see that coming, I'm going to be selling a lot, which I've never really done yet.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. I hadn't really thought about those kind of financial services coming across from crypto in terms of the lending on your NFT assets. I thought about obviously fractionalization and things like that, but that's a really good point. And it'll be interesting to see how that is going to affect the market, because you're absolutely right about currently we've moved from the whole market moving to individual kind of metas moving, like as you say, the metaverse or PFP projects or things like that. So. And for me, I've definitely seen a trend. It is becoming a lot more like crypto, where we've got the blue chips that pump, which is a bit like Bitcoin doing its run, and then you have like the high level alts like Ethereum and start doing theirs, and then you get what we're going to do instead of altcoin season, I guess, FOMO season, whereas everyone's diving into every rogue project they can.
Just a random project will mint out Frank,
Kevin
comes out of nowhere. It's one floor.
So no, it's exciting. Do you have any opinions on how the merge is going to affect the NFT market?
I haven't actually thought about it a lot. I mean, obviously, assuming everything goes well, as most people I think expect it to, it'll be bullish for ETH.
Yeah.
And like, obviously it'll be a sigh of relief because technologically everything worked and all that.
Yeah, that'll be
It'll be a huge media event. Like everyone in the world will be talking about. The focus will be on ETH again, so that will do well. And I think if ETH does pump a lot, that generally has a negative effect on NFTs priced in ETH. So that will probably be bad for the NFT market in the short term.
It's going to be an interesting battle between the price of ETH running up, which is obviously because the merge isn't going to affect gas prices. That's going to bring the cost of transacting on Ethereum up naturally. But then you've got the counter argument of that whole massive argument that everyone's had against NFTs about them being not environmentally friendly or really bad for the environment. Is gone. So it'd be interesting to see how these two kind of aspects are going to battle it out and how it affects the market. Will that bring enough of a surge of people in to the NFT space with extra media coverage to counteract the fact that it's going to start to cost a lot more to transact on ETH mainnet?
I think short term, no, but long term, like medium to long term, yes. So like short term, I think ETH will pump, NFTs will struggle a bit, gas is high, but then NFTs are going to recover and be fine.
Yeah, I mean, NFTs they are the big thing for crypto and blockchain now, and it blows my mind just the use case for NFTs and how exciting how it's going to kind of bleed out into the rest of society and integrate itself into everything, and in a lot of ways that people don't even realize that they are transacting with NFTs on a blockchain when they sort of change their phone number or something like that. And that is the exciting stage for me when we kind of get to that bit, but that's a little way off.
That's
at the moment.
5-10 years probably.
Talking about trends in the NFT market, something we're seeing emerging over the last couple of weeks, I've noticed for a couple of new projects, is this no Discord meta. Have you seen this? A couple of projects coming out without Discord?
Yeah. Pre-mint has no Discord, I believe.
Yeah.
I
really should have set up some examples, but I know this is happening. What are your thoughts on that?
I kind of like it. It's different. I like when things are different. It sort of eliminates a place where FUD happens. Most of the FUD happens in Discord, so absolutely. In that way, it's bullish. It's I think if you're trying to build a community, it's not good. Like the strongest communities are built usually via a Discord. But it can definitely work for certain projects. Like Premint is just the prime example where they don't really need a Discord because everyone in every Discord is using Premint and talking about it. The community is the Premint community. But I think, and it really does depend on the project as well. But I think, I kind of like it in some cases.
Yeah, I mean, it's innovation, isn't it? I mean, well, is it innovation? I guess you can kind of say it is. It's like them not doing something. It's how they're then going to deal with their communities outside of that. Are they going to go to something else? Are they going to have a Reddit page, which is flying off all the time? Or are they going to just manage it through Twitter? It's going to be interesting to see kind of how that develops. Or are we going to start seeing people developing their own kind of community software, like having it within their websites? Because Discord isn't the best tool really for this kind of thing.
No, it's not. No, there's several people working on like platforms or like widgets almost that any project can use, have on the website. You sign in with your NFT, and then you get access to a chat room and a video streaming service and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
and then you eliminate that hack issues with the hacks, with the constant DMs and all that kind of stuff, all that bad stuff we get from Discord. And I know that Discord as a company are really struggling with developing any features for NFT projects because they're getting so much negative backlash from the gaming community, which again, hopefully the merge is going to kind of cool down some of that a little bit. We hope.
Hopefully.
We hope. So as someone who's consistently traded in the NFT market and obviously being an influencer as you are, how do you cope with the psychological side of it? Because I know it is a strain, and I know people that have really, really struggled with it. How have you found that?
Overall, pretty good. I'm fortunate that my background is in professional poker, and I had 15 years of dealing with financial swings, big like wins and losses, and just all of that. Like I've spent years dealing with that, getting experience with that, having like mental health training, mental health, mental game training for poker and stuff like that, like sports psychology and that kind of stuff. So yes, it's really, really helped. But even though I've had all that, there's still occasions where it's just like overwhelmingly just difficult to deal with. You sell something that goes on to Moon, you decide not to mint something that goes on to Moon. So many instances where it's just, and then as a project founder, you're wondering, am I doing enough for my community, my project? Why is the flip? There's just infinite stuff happening. I've had maybe a handful of days that are like pretty just dark, overwhelming. It's like, all right, this is, I don't feel great. Thankfully, they've usually not lasted more than a day or two, and I can bounce back and I'll write about it, or I'll take a time away. But yeah, it's still there. It's still just like every day or week there's something that I'm like, I could have done better. I should have done that. It's like, why didn't I do that? I knew to do that and I didn't do that. That's another one where it's like, you look at a project for a while and you just stare at it and you're like, I should get that. And then you just watch the floor price go up and it's like, I really like it, but I'm gonna wait for a dip, and then it just doesn't dip, and then it gets to 50 ETH, and it's like,
times.
I
mean, it is the market of continual regret. There's no way that it's the same with crypto. I find it's a lot worse in NFTs, but you'll never. No one's ever calling all the bottoms. No one's ever calling all the tops. You've just kind of got to have a strategy, stick to it, take profit when you can, try to manage your psychology around it. I don't know why. It's something that I've been quite good at, that I haven't let stuff get me down too much and I've had a load of things that I could have made a load of money on, taken a lot of stress out of my life, considering I quit my job to go full-time Web3, got rid of all my kind of freelance business as well, haven't monetized things like the podcast. So, there's a number of stresses there, but I think I've been quite good at managing that. And I can see how poker would be a massive help in that kind of stead. Is it something that you're incorporating into the kind of Zen Academy, into the things that you teach about for people being a project founder?
It is something that I sort of like interweave in what I say and teach. And within the server, we have like a dedicated channel to mental health and the mental side of things, which we actually recently like drastically burned and culled the server down. Like we had like 200 plus channels, and I just like, that's too much. We put it back to like 2 chat channels, and then from there
Frank
we was like,
and Frank.
Now I loved that, by the way. I love that. Zen Academy. No, now we have 5, and one of them is mental health. So it's like that's the level of importance we play. We have like general chat, alpha, mental health, art, and a place for founders. Oh, and 2 Bored Apes. So I think technically we have 6. But it's certainly an important part of the academy. Yeah.
So obviously you've got an incredible amount going on. You record your 2 Boat podcasts. Is it weekly doing the podcast at the moment?
Yeah, it's 1 to 2 episodes a week.
Yeah.
We don't have a strong schedule.
Yeah, I know the feeling. You've got obviously overpriced JPEGs. You've just launched your new educational classes. You've got your managing Zen Academy and keeping that community engaged. How the hell do you manage your time?
I'm actually, I got to add, I have another podcast coming out this week.
Oh, really? Oh, nice.
So I have my YouTube show, and we're just like repurposing the content from that, like the conversations into podcast format. So it's not really additional work. Okay, cool. I'm not great at time management. I use a calendar. That's it. The calendar rules my life. but it's hectic. It's all over the place. I just every day as like I'm writing things down and like to-do lists, and I need better organizational structure, especially to grow and scale from here. But to answer your question, haphazardly is the answer.
Yeah, you should see my desk. It's covered in the most insane little doodles and little notes on different things. And sometimes I'm like, I need to work on that thing, and I have to just go through so many piles of paper and doodles and things to find it. So yeah, I'm glad. I think I've taken quite a lot of motivation from this kind of chat today, because I feel like I'm kind of like a few months behind you on the trajectory. Hopefully I can hit a similar trajectory from what you've done, but no, it's exciting, man. And you're inspirational for the space. I know a lot of people that were really excited that you were coming on, because they've taken so much learnings from you and from the content that you put out there. So no, we're really grateful. One thing we do with every guest that comes on, we've got a number of quickfire questions that we ask at the end, just about your kind of NFT experience. So I'm going to kick it off with, what has been your worst ever trade?
It's a good question. Well, I sold 3 Fidenzas at under 1 ETH each, and they went up to like 150, 200 ETH floor. Now they're at like 50 ETH. So those were bad. I still have one though, and I'm really grateful and fortunate that I have one. So I don't feel too badly about it.
Still profit though, right?
Very much profit, yeah. I minted them at 0.17, sold them for 0.7, and I was like, this is great. In terms of like buying something and then having it do really poorly, I actually don't buy too many expensive NFTs, and then like I don't like to spend too much on individual NFTs, but I did buy an Archetype, which is an art blocks piece for like 30 ETH, and now it's down at 11, but I'm like so long-term bullish on them that I don't really care.
Nice, cool. And a bit of a positive one. How about your best ever trade? It probably could have been that Fidenza.
No, it's going to be my Bored Apes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I bought 3. And honestly, they're all FOMO purchases. People ask me, why did you buy a Bored Ape? I was like, it's FOMO. It was like, I was on Twitter. Everyone was talking about them.
Yeah.
I didn't have one. I wanted one. I wanted to be part of the community. And I FOMOed in. And I've held 3 for almost a year now. So, yeah.
Nice. Have you got in, what price did you get in on them? I think yours was your
about
main one.
0.5.
Yeah, nice. I think I saw that today. I was snooping in your wallet earlier.
Yeah. Between 0.5 and 0.7, I think I got all 3. Yeah.
Nice. Do you do a lot of minting?
Not anymore. Anymore.
What was when you did, what was your rarest reveal that you got? Something to stand out as a good reveal?
I didn't have any crazy rare reveals. No. Which
no gold apes.
No gold ape. I never minted apes. Nothing quite on that level that not that I can remember anyway. Like nothing that I minted and sold for like 100 ETH.
Nothing that stands out. Yeah.
I've never actually sold anything for close to that, but yeah. I'm bad at selling NFTs, actually.
It's hard though, right?
Yeah.
I think stuff starts going up and you're like, oh wow, this is just not going to stop. I've had it myself a few times where I 100% should have sold, but I didn't.
Yeah.
You live and learn, you develop a strategy, and that's I think the tougher the lesson, the harder you learn it. Do you know what I mean? So
yes,
it ingrains
100%.
that lesson in a little bit stronger. Yeah. If there was one project out there that you could send to a 100 ETH floor, what would it be? Apart from Zen Academy, of course.
It's a very good question. Nemus? Like they're trying to change the world.
I like it. Yeah. Oh man, how good for the world it would it be if Nemus went to 100 ETH?
Nemus was at 100 ETH. I'm just trying to think about projects that are trying to do good.
Yeah.
Curious Addies is another one. They're really big on education. Projects that are trying to do good and have good teams and good founders are the ones that I would want to have 100 ETH floor.
Awesome. And kind of the opposite question, if gun to your head, you had to delete one project off IPFS, nobody loses any money, but you had to or you had to remove a project from existence. It just never happened. The old Thanos click your fingers.
Yeah. That's an interesting question.
It's the controversial question.
I'm like going through my head of all like the projects with high floors and Wolf Game, just because of Beanie.
Nice.
I own Wolf Game assets. I still have a bunch, but yeah.
Hey man, we were talking about regret earlier. One of the ones that I really struggled with was that I had a sheep in my wallet and I took it to confirm. I didn't have it in my wallet, sorry. I had it on OpenSea. I took it to confirm to buy it like 4 times in one day. and it was the day before they pumped, and every time gas was really high, it was like $250, and every time that day it got there, I was like, it was like 0.1. Every time it got there, I was like, it's too much. I'm gonna go to bed. I'll wait until the morning, and in the morning, I know gas fee is really low because America's asleep. I'll just buy it then. Woke up in the morning, it was 0.7. I was like, fuck's sake. By the end of the next day, I think it was at 7 ETH the next day.
Yeah,
and I was just
crazy,
pulling my hair out because that was that was when I was trying to just bank enough money to quit my job. And I was like, that was the money I needed to quit my job, and it took me like 3-4 days to get over it. But that was like the last of that. I've had a number of them since then that have happened that don't affect me anymore, because I think it took that kind of one that really affected me, and it took me 3 or 4 days to get my head around it. And once I did, I kind of got my head around the whole thing, and I was like, okay, it's just not going to affect me anymore. So I'm glad you deleted them, though. It kind of it gets rid of that pain. Although it means I've got to learn that lesson again.
Yeah, that I learned that lesson on the Fame Lady Squad.
Oh yeah,
projects. I minted a bunch and I sold them at like, I don't know, 0.1, 0.15. And I had a really rare one that I think I sold for like 0.4 or something. And then I went to sleep, and then I woke up at like middle of the night and checked, and they were just pumping like crazy.
Yeah.
And then I just couldn't get back to sleep. I was just like...
Yeah, you got to not check when you wake up in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I was just... But ever since then, I think I've been relatively okay. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Well, that's the end of my questions. Now, something that we're doing at the moment for our guests, as a little thank you for coming on, I very much doubt that you would have seen this, but I put together a little meme project called Jimmy Dow. Now, do you remember Irene Dow? Did you see that when Irene Dow came out? So when Irene Dow came out, I think the day after it pumped, I was like, right, I've got to do Jimmy Dow. So Jimmy Dow is my character that I minted from Crypto Dads, who's balding, red eyes, tubby, not the best looker, as a kind of simp project. So I've actually been doing little custom ones for people, and just a little bit earlier today, I sent you over this to your wallet, this beauty.
That's awesome. Thank you. Zeneca. I love it.
Yeah. So I hope they treasure it. You're now in among some friends. So I think Toby Lasso's got one, Harvey from Blocks. I've got one for Evan from Doodles, who's on with us. I think we're recording with him tomorrow. But basically it's just in the exact same style as the Irene Dow.
That's so good.
I was up to number 32. When I was doing yours, and I was speaking to V Squared, who's our community manager, and showing him and saying, what do you think of this for Zeneca? And he was like, oh man, it can't be 32. You've got to just skip a number and go to 33. So we skipped 32 to give you number 33. But it worked out perfectly.
That's amazing.
So,
I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for what you're doing in the space. And we'll hope to catch you soon.
Yeah, I mean, this was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me. And yeah, we'll do it again sometime.
Awesome. Thank you, man.